After watching Mitt Romney's secretly recorded remarks at a Florida fundraiser, leading conservative columnist Peggy Noonan wrote in the Wall Street Journal moments ago, it's time for Republicans to hold an intervention for Mitt Romney. This is not how big leaders talk. It's how shallow campaign operatives talk. Romney's theory of the case is all wrong. His understanding of the political topography is wrong. I think there is a broad and growing feeling now among Republicans that this thing is slipping out of Romney's hands. It's time to admit the Romney campaign is an incompetent one. It's not big. It's not brave. It's not thoughtfully tackling great issues. An intervention is in order. Mitt, this isn't working. Peggy Noonan was, of course, writing in response to the release of a video last night showing Mitt Romney insulting and lying about 47% of the American people. Both the Romney campaign and the Obama campaign spent the day reacting to the clip of the video that was released last night.
There are 47% of the people who will vote for the president no matter what. All right, there are 47% who are with him, who are dependent upon government, who believe that they are victims, who believe that government has a responsibility to care for them, who believe that they're entitled to health care, to food, to housing, to you name it. These are people who pay no income tax. And so my job is not to worry about those people. I'll never convince them. They should take personal responsibility and care for their lives.
Today, President Obama sat down with David Letterman, who, as it happens, was also mentioned by Mitt Romney on that same secret tape in an insulting and untrue way. We'll have more on Romney versus Letterman later. Here is President Obama's reaction to Romney's seething resentment of the 47%.
I don't know if you have seen the videotape, but I'm sure you know what we're referencing here. Mitt Romney at a fundraiser, I believe, in Florida. There's a cell phone videotaping his remarks, and he talks about being, in very dismissive terms, why 47% of the people voting don't matter to him. And what does that mean? Is that what rich guys at country clubs are talking about?
Well, I don't know what he was referring to, but I can tell you this. When I won in 2008, 47% of the American people voted for John McCain. They didn't vote for me. And what I said on election night was, even though you didn't vote for me, I hear your voices, and I'm going to work as hard as I can to be your president. And one of the things I've learned as president is you represent the entire country. And when I meet Republicans, as I'm traveling around the country, they are hardworking, family people who care deeply about this country. And my expectation is that if you want to be president, you got to work for everybody, not just for some.
And here is Mitt Romney clinging to the wreckage of his campaign today on Fox News.
Others have said that you just kissed half the electorate goodbye this election year, that you all but called them moochers. Did you?
No, I'm talking about a perspective of individuals who I'm not likely to get to support me. I recognize that those people who are not paying income tax are going to say, gosh, this provision that Mitt keeps talking about, lowering income taxes, that's not going to be real attractive to them. And those that are dependent upon government and those that think government's job is to redistribute, I'm not going to get them. I don't expect to get 60 or 70% of the vote. Gotcha. I understand that some portion will be the president's, some portion will be mine. I've got to get as many as I can from every single cohort in this country.
Republican criticism of Romney today was sharp and swift. Conservative columnist David Brooks of the New York Times writes today, Romney's comment is a country club fantasy. It's what self-satisfied millionaires say to each other. It reinforces every negative view people have about Romney. He's running a depressingly inept presidential campaign. Conservative leader and columnist Bill Kristol of the Weekly Standard writes, Romney seems to have contempt, not just for the Democrats who oppose him, but for tens of millions who intend to vote for him. Romney's comments are stupid and arrogant. And Republican Joe Scarborough said this.
I don't look at those 47% as victims. I look at them as people that I want to help. I would give a conservative message, but I wasn't aimed at the 1%. I said the 1% can take care of themselves. Let's get a job for you. That's not the Romney that we're seeing there. That's not the conservative. That does sound like a plutocrat. That does sound like Thurston Howell III.
Tonight, Bill O'Reilly, who has never successfully advised a presidential candidate, gave Mitt Romney this advice.
I'm sorry if I offended people, but I have to get your attention, and I did. That's how I would handle it. If he's going to back off, Charles, if he's going to try to, parse it, he's going to lose. He's going to lose. He's got to be right in your face. Mitt Romney has to be right in your face.
Bill O'Reilly's next book, How to Lose a Presidential Campaign. A new NBC News Wall Street Journal national poll of likely voters shows President Obama leading Mitt Romney by 5 points, 50 to 45% among registered voters. President Obama's job approval rating has reached 50% for the first time since March. Tonight, Nate Silver of the New York Times 538 blog forecasts that on November 6th, President Obama will win 303 electoral college votes. Mitt Romney will win 235. And President Obama has a 73% chance of winning the election. Mitt Romney has a 27% chance. Howard Feynman, I need you tonight. I am craving historical context for campaign collapses, campaign meltdowns, campaign disaster days. I have never seen anything like it in a campaign.
Lawrence, I wrote in the Huffington Post today 2 names, Mike Dukakis and Bob Dole.
Oh, come on. They were stars compared. They never had a day like this. Bob Dole falling off the stage, as he did once in his presidential campaign, was nothing like this. Come on.
Well, I would like to say, and my instincts as a political reporter and somebody who's got 48 days of the campaign left to cover, are all telling me to say it ain't over. But what Mitt Romney has done, the mistakes he's made, the impact of this video cannot be overstated, because not only does he dismiss the 47%, tens of millions of whom are Republicans, by the way. They're Republicans. Many of them are Republicans. And it was Republicans' policy that created a lot of the people who don't pay federal income taxes. Not only that, if you watch the whole video, which Crystal and I did, and everybody now has done, you see that Mitt Romney has a kind of otherworldly, almost non-human view of campaigning. It's something other people do. It's about issues that will be specified later. It has an entirely mechanical and distant feel to it. There's a reason why, Lawrence, you and I were on the floor of the Republican convention. Did those people love Mitt Romney? Did they even did they even really like Mitt Romney? He was almost incidental at his own convention, and that's what's happening now. That's why Peggy Noonan and Bill Kristol and everybody else is saying,
Linda McMahon and Scott Brown.
They're all saying forget it.
Yeah,
they're all saying forget it.
You know,
can I
Crystal, I want to get in as much tape of Romney as we can, because I've watched the whole thing. It gets crazier and crazier and crazier. But you learn things. Like, I think I've now learned something about this Republican obsession with tax cuts. Romney actually thinks that we are on our way to a 100% tax rate in this country. Let's listen to this.
There's the income tax on top, which the president wants to take to 40%. Then there's state tax in most states, and sales tax and so on. You end up having to take 100% of people's income.
End up having to take 100% of people's income. That crazy person
who pays 14%
thinks that's
taxes.
Where we're going, and that's why he's obsessed with nothing but tax cuts.
I mean, he can't possibly believe that when he looks at his own taxes.
See, here's the frightening thing. I think he believes it. I think he's crazy and stupid and lives in this unbelievably ignorant bubble, and he believes that.
Well, and that's the real question here. Some people who have taken, I think, the most charitable view you could possibly take said that he was just pandering to those in the room, that he doesn't actually believe the stuff. But the problem is, we have no idea what this man believes. That's the essential problem. The American public has no idea what this man believes. So, as some of his advisors and some people around the campaign have called for him to give a major speech, I think he needs to very basically outline, what is your philosophy? Is it really just scorn for half the population? Is that what you're all about? Because that certainly is what it's coming off as.
What it betrays to me is that he doesn't, again, this has been said before, but nothing proves it like this video. He doesn't understand what the lives of average people are like. He just has no clue. He has no concept. He has no idea of the tax burdens. He has no idea. He has no idea the fact, Lawrence, that very hardworking conservative people rely on government from time to time. They may not always want to acknowledge it, but they understand it. He's not living in the world of America today. He's just not.
And
with all due credit to him,
for all the stuff in the tape. His talk begins with a discussion of inheritance. He says, I didn't inherit anything from my father. And then, while at the same time saying, oh, well, I did inherit $1 million from my father. He doesn't then explain to his audience that loves, inheritance, that he was so rich by the time his father died. He was richer than his father. He didn't need the million. And then he talks about giving money to his sons and giving money to his and he gets big laughs about inheritance. Everybody in that room is sitting there thinking in terms of inheritance, when in fact most people in this country never inherit anything. That's not how they get their start, by inheritance.
That small room right there is his comfort zone. Those are essentially the only people, I think you're right, Howard, in the country that he really truly gets and relates to. And that's why he's so comfortable sharing his sort of innermost thoughts here. But when you ask the American people, they don't think that the number one problem with our economy is that poor people are lazy. They think that they need jobs. And in fact, the message that the Romney campaign is trying to push, that it's the Obama economy that's causing all these problems, is directly at odds with the idea that the real problem is that poor people are a bunch of lazy moochers who don't pay enough in taxes.
Lawrence, you can't make it up. I mean, that video was punctuated by the sounds of wine bottle corks popping.
Yeah. And by the way,
and I like that, but that's
the
not
stupidest people I have ever heard speak at a fundraiser. He was responding to questions from abject rich dummies who know less than he does about the universe.
It almost, but not quite, made me feel sympathetic towards Mitt Romney. But not quite.
You
quite.
are just overflowing with sympathy, Howard.
Not quite. I mean, you've got to listen to all these rich people telling you how to run your campaign. I just think the whole... Now, has Barack Obama... If we did a videotape of some of Barack Obama's events, might we find some things similar? Yes. But the difference is...
No.
But
we wouldn't find anything even vaguely similar in any comparable way.
But the difference is President Obama has conveyed a sense that he understands what the lives of real people in America are like. That's indispensable to him as a candidate, and it's indispensable to him as president. The reason why Mitt Romney is behind, the reason why that poll showed what it showed, the reason why most insiders think he's blown it, is that he's never conveyed a sense that he understands what the lives of real people in America are like. He just can't get over that hump, and unless in some miraculous way he can between now and November, he's toast.
Crystal, you're going to spend the full hour tomorrow on your show showing more of this tape. Just roll it. Just roll it.
I have a feeling the ratings would be pretty good.
Just roll it. That's what I'm going to do. It's going to be tape all night. Howard Fineman and Crystal Ball, thanks for joining me.